Alright, so I'm going to go explain application controller. Now, application controller design is basically a way that we're going to create applications so that we're separating the program out into different pieces, and we're basically going to combine all those pieces through the controller back into one complete piece that runs when you run the program. And when you want to use this is when you're creating an application and you want to separate the pieces out so that way you can basically, it allows for editing the program to be easier, but it also allows us to add to the program. It makes it easier because we're just going to add files to the program, and that's all we're going to do. And then it also allows it so we're not creating so much code on just one page or on one file. It's allowing us to create multiple files with little portions of code in it. And so our code's going to be a lot easier to read and a lot easier to write because we're just writing little bits of code that basically is being put back into the application through the controller. Now, that's when you'd want to use it, why you'd want to use it, or no, that's why you'd want to use it. When you'd want to use it is basically when you're creating an application and you basically want to create the design of your application to be easy to read and easy to write. And basically, it also has the functionality of basically it allows us to only run portions of our application at a time because the controller is only going to allow us to run whatever portion of the code we want to run. So it means basically you're separating the application out to only run portions of the code at a time instead of running the complete code all at once. It's going to take pieces of the application and only run those pieces that you want to run. But then also I realized as I was looking at this that this is also a good way to create an application where uh, it's basically because you're separating the code out into different files, it's going to allow us to put a security on it because when the application runs, it's only going to run the file that is necessary for that portion of the application. So that means you can't access all the files at once. It's only going to be able to access one file at a time based on what the application is running, or multiple files at once if you do a thread. But in my example, it's only one portion at a time, only one file at a time is being run, and it's based on what I want to do. So in my example, I created a calculator, and the first thing I did is I created an interface called Do Math. And I created this interface because I'm going to basically be calling this interface to a class I'm about to create. So this is my interface. And then I came in here and I made 4 different classes. And the 4 classes I made are based on the division, the addition, the subtraction, and the multiplication. And so within these files, as you can see, I basically created the class and I said implements do math. So it's going to implement that interface I created. And this right here is within that interface, but within here, I'm basically telling it what it needs to do right here. And in this case, it basically needs to create a variable called addition, and basically it's going to be equal to input 1 plus input 2, and then it's basically going to print out addition. After I created these 4 files, I created the controller. The controller, as I basically gave the class name of controller, and within it, I created a hash map. That way I can basically link my string to uh, my do math interface, which is going to allow us to connect to those 4 Java files I made for whatever operation I want to do. And then below that, I created this handle operator. And within this handle operator, I did an operator input and input 2. And within this, I basically am going to create going to connect my hash map and basically give the keyword and what it's equal to. So in this case, I have a plus, and it's equal to addition. And this right here is linking us back to the addition file I made. And this is linking us back to the subtraction file I made, the division file I made, and multiplication file I made. And then at the end of it, I said do math handler equals keyword dot get operator. And now what this is doing is it's basically creating the do math, and then I gave it basically a name, and then basically I gave it what keyword needs to be get, which is basically from up here. It's either going to be this plus, minus, divide, or multiplication. And then I'm going to basically execute it so that it does whatever this gets sent to. It's going to basically execute it so it does the math. After that, I created my main class, and I called it app, and I run the main class, and within the main class, I created a scanner. I basically created a controller based off the Java file that I just showed, and I gave it a name calculate. Equals new controller. I did an integer input 1, integer input 2, string operator, and these are just what I made, so that's within this file, mostly for what takes place down here. And then down here, basically, I'm doing my output to get the number, my input number, my output to get the operator, my input operator, my output to get the number, my input number, and I did an output of result. And then right here, I did a calculate.handle operator. And so what this is doing is this calculate.handle operator is this calculate comes from what I created up here, this controller calculate. And then this handle operator came from the file that I just previously showed. I created this within that file. And so what it's saying is controller, and then go do this from the other file. And so it's going to send that to the other file, and the other file basically sends us to the math that I want to do. And then this is basically going to go do the math, and then it's going to print out the results from the math that it did. And then this right here is just a repeat. It's just within a catch. So I did a try and a catch within this. That way, if there's an error in it, it's going to catch, and then it's going to print out, enter another number. Anyways, this is the calculator I made to show the controller. What was it called? The application controller pattern.